All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this demonstration of the changes that are coming to my account. We do have a variety of users joining us today, everyone from nonprofits to private card rooms, vendors, manufacturers, and everybody in between. And so we're going to be providing you an overview of some changes that are coming to my account. Some of this will impact you in your role, some of it won't. But stick with us toward the end and we'll talk more about what this means for you and next steps. Next slide. Before we begin, you've been automatically muted and off camera, so you can ask questions in one of two ways. You can either ask in the Q&A section, which is to the right of the chat. And if your Teams window is smaller in some way, if you expand it all the way, that Q&A should show. Or you can raise your hand and we will call on you and unmute you. We will take questions at the end of each functionality or section, so stay tuned for that, but you can put your questions in there and then we'll take all of those on the question screen. All these slides will be emailed out to everyone who registered as well as our newsletter subscribers. So you will receive both the recording and this slide deck at the end. Next slide. This meeting is being recorded and the law requires consent prior to recording a person's participation in an event. Your participation equals consent to be recorded. Your speakers and camera, like I said, are automatically off, but if you wish to be seen and heard, please raise your hand and we'll take you off mute. If you don't consent to be recorded but want to participate, please use the Q&A feature, as I said, and we will read your question aloud, but not your name. As I said, the recording will be sent automatically to everyone who registered, and that recording will not include the Q&A if you wish to ask questions. Okay, with that, let's introduce everybody.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Lamont. I'm the licensing unit agent in charge. Welcome to our demo.
Tony, you're on mute.
You're right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tony Hughes. I'm the agent in charge of our regulation enforcement unit. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Chrisinda Hansen. I am our Chief Financial Officer.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Dowdy. I'm the administrator of our electronic gambling lab. Welcome.
And I'm Sarah Stewart. I'm a consultant on the project and here to help get everyone ready for Go Live.
So we've shared through various messages and discussions that we are replacing our legacy system. Our goal is to improve efficiency and transparency for you and to make the work you do with us easier. Many of the things licensees have said when we've sent out surveys or been in conversation that they would like to see in my account, we are delivering through the changes coming. And with our internal system updates comes the update of our external system that you use. We want to move as much work online as we can to increase our efficiency and transparency. And I just want to emphasize today, we are going to be showing you a lot and it will seem like we're going pretty fast. This is just an overview. There will be more exposure to this and actual training in how to use the system in the future. Next slide, please. So again, summary, some of the benefits that you'll see with the changes is some payment flexibility. You'll be able to submit applications and pay by mail or online, something that you can't do in our current system. You'll have expanded invoice visibility and anyone can pay by credit card. And we will be providing more information. Chrisinda will be specifically later in the demo. There is expanded user access, specific user role identification. So there's some segregation of duties in the ability to use the system, and each person can have one role or multiple roles. You'll have a better idea of the status of your applications and submissions in real time. You will see when something is submitted, when something is pending payment, and when something is in review with our staff. And we are moving towards communication more securely. We want to get away from email. We want you to be able to upload and securely communicate with us through MyAccount. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick picture of where we're at in the timeline. Internally with staff, we have been in the planning and execution stage of our new project for over 2 years. And now we are less than a year to go live in February of 2026. So today in October, we're demonstrating, just giving you a brief exposure to the new look of our system. In November, there'll be an opportunity to participate in testing of the system and MyAccount and how you may use it. We'll be providing, again, that more detailed training in February. And then our go live date is towards the end of February. Next slide, please. Some of the things that we will be showing today is logging in, the new look of the dashboard and the user profiles. We'll be doing a demonstration of how you would submit licensing applications, both new and renewals. We'll be demonstrating how to securely communicate with us through the secure messaging process and the ability to upload documents, both through the application and submission process, as well as messaging process. We'll be talking about personnel termination notifications and how that happens in the system for those of you that have licensed employees or licensed representatives as part of your organizational license. We'll be discussing something called other submissions, and we'll get more into that and what that means. Also filing your QLR or quarterly license report with us, more information about billing and payments, credits, and how to submit equipment and software to us. So some of the caveats, again, we are close to the end of our project, but we are still refining and testing things. So things that you see today may change slightly once you see the look of it undergo live. And the demonstration today is just mock data. We are not using any real life data from our current licensees. And again, we'll be going through this fast. Have patience, we will take questions, but this is just an overview and we will provide training on how to actually use the system, and we can have that back and forth for your specific needs, depending on your gambling activity. Next slide. So these, it's a little bit small on the screen, so hopefully you can see it. In current MyAccount, everybody is what we call a super user. So if you have access to MyAccount, you have access to all the different tabs. You have full viewing capability. Before go live, we will be reaching out to all of our current licensees to try to establish at least super users so that when we go live, we have super users who then can assign other roles as needed in your organization on secondary roles. So some of the secondary roles that we have in the new system is identified. One is a general submitter. And what that role can do as a secondary user is create, edit, approve license applications, view license information for both organizations and individuals. And those individuals will be your licensed employees or licensed reps that are attached to your organization. Those general submitters can also create, edit, and view submissions. They can view both the organization and their individual profile and send secure messages to staff in the agency. There's also a payment submitter role, and that payment submitter can make, edit, and view billing and payment information. They can view profile information and send secure messages. QLR, quarterly license report filers, will be able to file, amend, and view quarterly license reports, view the profile information and send secure messages. And then individuals, so employees, nonprofit gambling managers, and vendor reps, if they have their own separate MyAccount that is linked to the organization account through their own individual MyAccount, they can edit and view the profile information. They'd be able to create, edit, and view submissions for themselves, create, edit, and view and pay applications for themselves that they would then send to their employer for review and then submission to us, and also send secure messages. And we've defined these roles separately, but again, a user can have more than one role. So as a super user, you'd be able to do anything in the system. But if you were a secondary user and had both a general submitter role and a payment submitter role, you would be able, for example, to fill out an application, submit it to us, and then pay for it as well. Next slide, please. So on the left side of the screen, you will see the current view of what my account looks like. So hopefully that's familiar for those of you who are working with us through my account currently. On the right side is what your sign-in dashboard will look like in the future once we go live. So on the top left of the page is a landing page, and that's where when you want to go in to sign in to get access to my account, you would click on the sign in button on that top left of the left-hand picture. Then once you click on that, you would see the screen on the right-hand side and you click on SAW. So that means, again, you're going to have to have a Secure Access Washington account in order to get access to your Gambling Commission MyAccount. So one thing I do want to mention, if you currently don't have a SAW account, please go in and sign into SAW. Sorry, to establish an account in order to get access to our services. So again, it is circled on the screen that's how you start the sign up. Once you are logged in through SAW, then you would have access to my account. Next screen, please.
And we will be sharing more information with you via email about how you will log in and remind you to get a SAW account and all the details of how that will work when we get closer to go live. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, Sarah. So this is just an example of what a user profile looks like. So right now, what we will be demonstrating today, it is in that super user role, so that for the most part, Crescendo will be demonstrating a specific user role. But for the other parts of this, it will be super user. So the super user has access to quite a few things. In that user profile, for example, you'll be able to enter your first and your last name, your email, your business phone number. And then as a super user, you can grant other user requests, either approve or deny those. So on the bottom of the screen, that's where you could go in and request access to other organizations or request other roles. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so this is an example of the organization's dashboard. And again, signed in as a super user. And so if you were signed in as another user, you would not see all of these tabs available to you. But as a super user, you have access to a quarterly license report tab, billing and payment, license application tabs, submissions, a license tab, and home. Under this general dashboard, this is just going to be everything that you have access to at a glance. So again, as a super user, if a different person in your organization is requesting a role, this is where you can see that the request has been made for you to review and approve or deny. Then you have a section that talks about payments that may be due to us for various licensing processes or submissions. You also can see in a different section pending applications, and this would be both pending applications for individuals and orgs if you have individual employees or representatives. You would also see pending submissions, and Jamie's going to talk about what that is, and I will as well as we go through this. Any pending quarterly license reports, upcoming events, organizational renewal reminders, and gaming employee or representative individual employee renewal reminders.
Okay. We do have one question in the chat. It is, will this still be linked to the SAW dashboard?
So I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. You do have to go to SAW in order to get access to your dashboard, and it will be your MyAccount dashboard, which is what we're showing.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll be providing additional information on how to make sure that you're all signed up in the right ways and that you get trained on how to log in if you aren't currently, but you will still use SAW similar to how you do today. So
There's one more question.
there is, will there be a tab for easy accessibility to required training for adding individuals?
So we'll walk through that a little bit. But what will happen, what we intend is from the old system to the new system, if you have employees that are linked to your organization now, and they have their own separate MyAccount, they will be linked in the future system. If you were to hire somebody in the future and they were going to apply for licenses versus you submitting licenses for them, you could give them a link to your organization. And once they sign in through SAW and establish their own MyAccount, then that organization and individual profile will be linked and together. And again, first exposure, we will have more training and more information on these things as we go forward in the future.
Next question is, where is self-exclusion?
So there will be, if somebody is approved to have access to the self-exclusion list, that request can be made and approved through MyAccount, and the self-exclusion list will be available to that role in MyAccount.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions, so we can move on to talking about new license applications.
Okay. So we're going to start with license applications, and you get to applications through the application tab. And here you will see you can go directly to applications or you can get access to forms. And I'll just briefly show forms. So on these forms, you would be able to get access to these by downloading them. And so, for example, a financial statement form. You can download that here. You will have access to these forms both through the application itself as well as this button. And once you open that form, it is a fillable form. So you can fill it in and save it so that you will have it ready. You could print it, you can upload it, and you save it in your computer, and then you'd be able to upload it into your application. So that's just an example. We'll go ahead and go to the application itself. So again, let me just show you. So on the application screen, under the application tab, you can apply for both an individual if you would like, or a new organization application from this screen. The different sections are the pending applications and the different statuses. So it would have the name of the applicant or the organization, will have the application number, the type of application, and again, this would be a mix of organization or individual applications, whether they're new or renewals, the status, again, you'll have some real-time status information in MyAccount, whether the application is in draft, pending payment, under review will tell you that the application has been submitted and paid for, and now our staff is reviewing it. And then an application, for example, that's pending withdrawal. So that means that this was an application that was submitted and paid for, and then the user decided to go ahead and withdraw it. So that notification was sent to staff to process a withdrawal. Also the created date. So in the draft, you have options for different actions. You can edit that application or delete it, and you can also get access to the application directly from the link. If it's pending payment, you can make some different option. If you, as a super user, you have the ability to make payment because you have all of those permissions. If you are just a general submitter, that make payment action would not appear for you. But because it's a super user and they have all permissions, they could make payment, view the application, or delete it. And under the pending withdrawal, you could only view the application. So there are different statuses and different actions available depending on the status of the application. Different section will tell you if you've submitted an application and now you must mail fingerprint cards to us. This is telling you that there are pending fingerprint cards, and once we actually receive the fingerprint card in the mail and enter it into the system, you will know, the status will change that we've received it. So now you don't have to call us and ask, you will see in the system where it's at.
And they'll still have to send those by mail, right?
You will still have to send us hard cards because that is a requirement of Washington State Patrol. We have no control over that. You would also see any previous applications that you had submitted and any previous fingerprint cards that were required and what the status of them was. So let me share with you, go through the application. So since we do have a wide variety of attendees, I'll just demonstrate an application for a house bank card room. So this is what you would see if you say, I want to start a new application for an organization. And this has all the different types of organization applications that are available to submit online. Again, you have punchboard pull tabs, you have various sports wagering vendors, service supplier, all of the different license types or gambling activity types that are available to apply for. Anything with an asterisk is a required field. The other fields we do need information from, and we could not complete the process of your application, but we aren't going to stop you from submitting if you don't fill out the parts that don't have an asterisk. So again, business trade name is required. The UBI number, if you don't know that at the time, you don't have to fill it out at the time. We will need that at some point, but it's not required. Here, the business address is required, and we also have the ability to validate through the USPS. So this will tell you the address that you provided versus the suggested address, and you could decide which one that you want to fill in. You can identify that you want the same mailing address as the premise address, so you don't have to continue, repeatedly data enter the same information. Your business email address is required, your business phone number is required, and then your fiscal year end and month is required. Now, if you want to share a contact person with us, you could do that by doing, and then identifying who the contact they should be for, whether it be a financial contact or a QLR contact. And then you would hit save and next. So then again, asterisk questions are required to be filled out. And I'm not going to go through all of these.
And is this pretty similar to the paper application now?
Yes, it is pretty similar to the paper application now, but it is all available to be filled out online. So you would answer the various questions. You could answer all of them, or again, making sure that you're at least answering the one. So I'll show you what happens if you don't answer a question that is required. So we missed that question. And so we're trying to go save or next, and it will tell you at the top of the screen what you're missing. So then you can come back here and fill in what you need to fill in to keep going. So then you get additional questions. What type of business structure are you? You can upload. So here is example, again, what I started with is you can get access to those forms initially, or you can get access to the same forms within the application. So if you clicked on that, you could fill it out and then upload that information here. And again, so I'll demonstrate, for example, source of funds for an individual. So I want to upload a document, so I select it. And I've got a financial statement form. All I do is click on it, select open. It will be dropped in here. It is required that you would identify what type of form you're trying to, and there is an other category if you're unsure, and then you click upload. And here it shows that it's been uploaded. So then again, on this last page is a lot of the information you're used to seeing on our paper applications. It talks about the Public Records Act, how and when to report changes, and then you would accept that everything that you've entered into the form is correct. And then some MyAccount requirement stuff, and then submit the application. Gives you the option to go, because this is a super user again, can pay for the application or you can return to the dashboard. So now that application that I was just working on should show that it went from draft to pending payment because I did submit it. So that means, what that means is that application has now been submitted to us, but it's sitting in a queue because the payment has not been received. So then you would have the option to print out an invoice and send a paper check. You could pay by credit card or ACH. And once that payment is received, then you'll get a change of status that is actually submitted to us. I think renewals, thank you. So that's the application tab. So if you want to see what organization applications you have and individual applications, this is where you'll see it. So that is under this license tab. And again, you could still come here. So you have access to apply for a new application in both the license tab and the application tab. This is a list of your organizations. Again, your organization name, your license number, the type of license it is, card games, non-house banked, for example, manufacturer, punch board, pull tab, and the effective expiration date and when it's active. So for those who are not in the active renewal period, you will have no action. But if you are in the active renewal period, again, which both this card games, non-house banked and manufacturer license are, you will have a renewal button to start that renewal process. And we will do that in just a minute. You also have the ability, again, if you have employees, to apply for a new employee application. And again, the same thing will be reflected for individuals when you have card room employees or representatives. And again, this is all test status, so you would not see a manufacturer with card room application or license and then card room employees under a manufacturer. So if I wanted to go ahead and renew my card game non-house bank active license because my expiration date is coming up very soon, I would click on the renewal button and it would ask me, are you sure you want to renew this license? That brings you to the renewal application, and there will be information that's pre-populated from our system. So when this super user filled out the application originally to get the license, they had filled in their fiscal year end and month. So that will automatically be entered. But if you need to change it, you do have that option. And then you would have to fill in the right information. Again, anything with an asterisk is required. So has there been a change in ownership, activity manager, and management? And if you say yes, then you have the opportunity to upload any items that have to do with anything, or you could just say no. And then we would follow up as needed. And that would be pretty much the end of that particular renewal application. Again, the Public Records Act information, reporting changes, and oath of acknowledgement. You could submit the application to renew and either pay or return to the dashboard. So again, going back to the license tab, you now see that you only have one organization to renew. And what that was showing and going to the application is that card game non-house bank that we just renewed, it's now pending payment. And it's in the application tab because it's an active application.
Okay, we're gonna show secure messaging.
There's some.
Yes.
We want to answer the question.
We're a couple slides away from that.
So the other thing, not all applications will be available online at Go Live. We will have some change applications that will be available on our public website, and you'll have the ability to download those from our public website and upload those into MyAccount. It just won't be straight from this organizational application or individual application tab. Okay, so we'll demonstrate how you what the secure message function is. So from your organization dashboard, you can see your dashboard, or you can go to Secure Message Center. And this little bell will tell you whether you're in the Secure Message Center or just in your dashboard or just signed in. If there is a secure message actively waiting for you, there will be a little red number if there's only one. It might be a number 2 if you have 2 messages waiting for you, and you could click on secure message in order to see anything, but there's no number. It's saying that there are no new messages. So the dashboard for the Secure Message Center, you have an inbox with all of your active or draft secure messages that you are in the process of trying to draft or send to us or have an active conversation going. And then you will also see any closed secure messages that have been resolved. So we'll see, again, you'll have some different options, action options, depending on the status of the message. So you can either edit your draft message or delete it. And then you have an active conversation going here for an active, and you can view or reply to that secure message. So we'll go ahead and edit this draft. And there's nothing in the draft right now. So you are required to, again, identify the category of your secure message. And so I'll say that I have something for an application question. You are not required to put the application number, but you are required to do a subject. So question about an applicant. So just put something in here. Again, you'd be able to upload a document. If you have something, again, if you were to do a change application, or you wanted to upload some other, you had a question about something, you would be required to, again, select the category. Some examples are driver's license, passport, or you could just choose other. You'd upload your document. And then it would reflect that the document's there, and you have the option to save and exit. So then it would stay in draft. You could delete that, or you could go ahead and send it. And it asks if you want to truly send it. And then it will let you know that it was successfully sent. So now it's an outgoing message to our staff to respond to. And this, again, is an example of an incoming message that's active from our staff. And how that would work is You would get a generic notification to your email because we don't expect you as our licensees to be in my account at all times. So you would get notification generically. You have a secure message. Please go to your My Account, something to that effect, to see the details of that. So then you could sign into My Account to see the detail and the actual content of that secure message.
Okay, and then we're gonna talk about personal termination notifications.
Okay.
That's
So
still hard.
let me stop sharing.
So you can share.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize you weren't demoing it. Yep, just a second. Let me stop.
Okay, so for those licensees that have either nonprofit gambling managers, for example, or card room employees or vendor representatives, and they no longer work for your organization, you would submit a personnel termination notification to us. In current system, the way that you would do that is you would send a submission to us. And this is what the personnel termination notification looks like currently. Any information that's not pre-filled in, and again, has an asterisk, you have to fill in. So you would tell us the first and last name, the license number for that person, and then the last day worked. And then it would be great to tell us the termination reason, and then you would just click on submit. And then we would process that personnel termination notification. If we had any questions, then we would, again, talk to you through secure messaging or process and let you know. You'd get an update that they are unlinked from you.
Right now, back to other submissions.
Let me share again. Okay, so other submissions. So again, we are trying to get away from email and trying to make our communication with you and any information exchange, documentation exchange much more secure, and that would be through My Account. So we have an option to do other submissions, and other submissions could be various things. So let me show you one that's already drafted. So you would start an other submission, and again, that would be that top right box. You would pick other submissions, and then you have a variety of, well, this particular one, I'll go backwards. This one, if you were wanting to report a new organization loan, actually, let me start all over again. Don't like how that went through. Okay, so if you wanted to do another submission, you would start with create a new submission. And then you would choose a submission type. And again, you'd have some different options. Jamie will be going through equipment and software submissions, but you could choose other submissions, and then you would have to just identify the type. There's a wide variety of other submissions to choose from. It could be reporting new criminal history or new civil actions. It could be a new vendor contract. It could be a new lease. So we'll pick that you want to report that you have a new lease, but you're not changing your location. You would give us the information that's required, that you have an expiration date on a new, pick one. You have to fill this date in, and then you'd be able to upload your lease. And then you could submit. And again, the lease document here is mandatory because you're notifying us of a new lease. So we will just exit that because I don't have the lease ready, even though I wanted to submit it. So I'm going to save it as a draft. And now you can see the draft. Now, right now, the name isn't filled in, but that will be something that we will be ensuring happens so that you can identify whether you reported new criminal history or you reported a new lease or a new loan.
Okay, we do have several questions in the chat and the Q&A. The first one is, currently renewing license just shows me the expired one. What do I do? And we're not sure if this person is referring to the current system or what we'll do in the future system. So I guess we could just talk about what the new system would show for them.
So say the question again, please.
Currently renewed license just shows me the current expired one.
For some reason, that's not tracking my brain. So you will be able to see if somebody is active. And I am not sure that you can see somebody who is expired. I can't recall. So we might have to get back to it.
So related that might help in the new system.
Thank you.
If I'm an individual and I want to renew, how early can I renew? Is there can I renew 60 days ahead of time?
Yes.
30 days? What is the window for renewing my license?
I believe the active renewal window is 60 days. So again, if we're talking about it here, this is an example. So somebody who expires in October of 26, there's not going to be an opportunity to renew because you're not inside that active renewal window. But because this one is expiring less than 60 days, there is the ability to renew now.
Okay. We have a couple of questions about reminding us of the timeline when it's going to be active. So our currently projected go live is February 23rd, 2026. And we will continue communicating with you all as we get closer to that. So we will share some information at the end about signing up for updates and visiting our project website and things like that. So stay tuned for more, but right now we're looking at February of 2026. Let me start from the bottom. Will we be able to submit payment like we currently do in SAW? It looks like Crescinda already answered that, and she'll be walking through the payment options next, actually. I cannot find our application or employees in the system currently. How do I obtain that information now?
In the system, if they're in MyAccount, they can't.
In the system today, in the current system, they can't see an
Yes.
application or employees.
Yes, absolutely. So that is an improvement that we made in this new system. Our current system is truly just a one-way system. So you can submit just a limited amount of applications online. And once you submit them, they're gone. And it's only internal stuff. So again, this is an improvement in the system. You'll be able to see the system, the application you're working on. And once you submit it, you have, again, in this section, in the application section, you'll be able to see applications pending. So things that you are working on or have submitted to us, and then previous applications. So you will be able to see ones that you submitted previously.
Great. So all changes for internal controls will be done through this online?
Yes, so that is the intent, that instead of having to email internal control changes to us, you would be able to submit those internal control changes through the other submissions process that I just demonstrated.
Will there be the 14-day renewal grace period as mentioned during roundtable?
So I think that was for a separate group. There is, if your license expires, you would be able to communicate with us, possibly. We would have to see what that looks like.
Okay. Will licensed employees have the option of using or providing a credit card or debit card now, or will it still only be by check for renewals and PTNs?
Well, you don't pay for PTNs, but in the new system, anybody can pay by credit card. I believe in the current system, any individual can pay by credit card, and that is limited, but it will not be limited in the new system.
Okay. Will the license tab show individuals that have expired or former employees or individuals that were previously licensed, or will they only show active licenses?
That's a good question. I would have to look at that and get back to you.
I've submitted my NPO QLR that will be due tomorrow. However, we haven't started until January 2026. I claim 0. Is that okay? No shortage or overage, but I saw shortage on it and couldn't remove it.
So, for that individual that asked that question, if you could please submit your question to the financial reporting email address, we'd be able to best assist you there where we can review your specific QLR and advise you on
And
that.
what's that email address? I'll just.
It's financialreporting@wsgc.wa.gov. All one word, financial reporting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Amex an acceptable credit card?
Yes, and I can go over that. We're going to demonstrate the filing of a quarterly license report, and then we'll demonstrate billing and payments, and we can provide some of those details during that portion of the demonstration.
Okay. We have one more. I previously submitted sub C processing and the forms that we received. Will the online renewal look different? Currently, we send the renewal forms, but we have to request a new form to be filled out because another tribe submitted first. So this looks like this is a tribe question that we might want to follow up with separately. Okay. Okay, now we can go to quarterly license reports.
Okay, so this is the same organization that Jennifer was just doing the demonstration with. However, this is an example of how the access looks different based on role-based access. So for purposes of this demonstration, I've signed in as myself, and the only roles I am authorized to perform, the only roles I am assigned are the quarterly license report submitter and a payment submitter. So you'll see that my menu does not include options for submissions or some of those other things that she just demonstrated. So this is just an example of what that role-based access would look like. So once I'm signed in, when I'm a super user or a quarterly license report submitter, there's the menu option to file a quarterly license report. And so what you'll see when you're here is that you can see anything that has been filed. And if they've already been filed, you'll be able to view or amend, and I'll talk about amend in just a little bit. You can save a draft, and for purposes of this demonstration, I did save a draft. So when it's in draft status, you can just choose to continue your draft. It will start you from the beginning, so you can review everything you've selected. These fields, once you've saved your draft, are view only for the year and the quarter, just to remind you of which QLR you're working on. So then as you are going to be filling out your information, you would just fill in your numbers, just like you do today. The form just looks a little different. And then as you fill in each section and enter some numbers, before you can move forward or even save your draft, you have to request it to calculate the numbers for you. And this just takes a minute because it has to go see what the proper rates are for the time period you're filing and then perform the calculations.
And we're also demonstrating from a test environment, which is slower than it will be once we go live.
The other thing I would mention is that for purposes of this demonstration, this licensee has both an active manufacturer license and a punch board pull tab. That isn't what we would generally see, but we wanted to be able to demonstrate a couple different types of licenses on the QLR form. So we assigned this licensing pair for those purposes. So once it's performed the calculation, it's going to now display a couple new sections on this form that weren't here before. In this case, you see the gross gambling receipts summary here at the bottom, where it's going to display the numbers that you reported in the sales to operator, and then also the total sales to distributors. Total that up, show you the rate that it's applying, and then display the calculation for the gross gambling receipts that you reported here. Then below that is a summary where it's going to show you a summary of the fee for this gambling activity type. And then this is showing you what the fee would be for quarter one. When you're filing for future quarters, it's also going to show you what your fee was for the prior quarters, to help display how it's comparing what you've already reported and paid to what your maximum annual license fee is. So here, for purposes of the demonstration, the maximum annual license fee is $40,000. It's showing that the calculated fee right now is $167, but the payments already received is the base fee. So there's actually nothing due for this quarter for this gambling activity. So then you save and next. And so then you fill out information for your next license type when you have multiple licenses. And then you would report any prizes that you had paid if you have, if you're in an area that's subject to local gambling tax, and then you're over and short. And then the same on this, you would calculate the QLF for this gambling activity type.
And so even though I demonstrated and you're demonstrating a commercial QLR and I demonstrated a commercial license application, obviously for nonprofit applicants, for if it was a raffle activity or if I are applying for a raffle, both of those are available through my account and are very similar, very, very similar processes.
Yeah, so the process would be the same. The system's going to look at what kind of organization you are, nonprofit, was Jennifer's question. And then display on your QLR, it would know if that license type was active for that period, if you had an active license for the period, and ask you to complete that, even if it were 0. And because it knows if you're a nonprofit or commercial or, a vendor, it's going to go, it's going to display and apply the appropriate rates and maximum fees for the type of license you have and the type of organization you are. So in this case, it's completed the calculation for punchboard pull tab. So we see that it calculated that the quarterly license fee was $2,280. And the $770 is the base fee that was paid. So the actual amount due was $1,510 because it's giving credit for that base fee. So at this point, you could save and next, and sorry if I'm making you seasick with the scrolling, but when you save and next, it's going to take you to the summary page. So that's what I'd like to show you. So on this page, for each license type that you have, it's going to show you a summary. And in future quarters, it would show you the summary for all of the quarters. So it's going to show you an accumulation of what you've reported to again show you how much you've paid on your license year and compare it to the maximum due. So it's going to do that for each license type. And then at the very bottom of this summary section, it will show you each license type, the amount due for the quarter, and then give you a total amount due. Now at this point, you can either again click next and submit your QLR, or you could save your draft and come back later. Part of the QLR filing is still under development. So what will be available that isn't yet is printing a draft. So if you are someone that you need to print a draft and have somebody review it before you finalize the filing, that will be an option. It will not be a print button. It will be a save a draft, and it'll provide a PDF that you can save and then either email or print or whatever, but it will be a PDF of your form that you can then use however you need to for your organization. So as long as this is in draft status, it will show, just like it did when I started this, that it's a draft on the QLR dashboard that you can then come back and file to at a later time. So at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and submit this. If you have any comments, you can enter them here. This is most often used if we have someone that's filing an amendment because they made an error. They'll put a note in here about why, that, oh, I reported the wrong quarter, or I forgot to report, my local tax or whatever. So, but this is available for comments for the filing. So then after that's all filled out, I'm going to submit this, and it's going to make sure I want to. And then again, it's going to take a minute. So then when that's filed, we're going to return to the dashboard. And you can see that it is now submitted with the date. And again, the functionality for printing the filed form isn't yet here, but it will be. But right now you could view it. And then also you could amend it if you realize that you had made an error. The other thing is that you can file ahead of time. So, you know, if you're an organization like a nonprofit that you only hold one raffle a year, you've already held your raffle, you can absolutely file your QLRs for the rest of the year. You do have to submit them in order. You cannot submit a quarter 3 unless you've submitted a quarter 2, and it will give you that error message. So for example, if I came in and I said, I want to file my quarter 3, it'll display the information. But when I attempt to do that, it's going to say that I can't because you need to go file the previous quarter. The same thing would happen if you try and file a QLR that's already been submitted. It's going to tell you that it was already filed, and the proper way to do that is actually to find it in your list of submitted QLRs and file an amendment. So any questions on filing?
I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you mentioned it, but they do receive an email confirmation once they filed.
Yes, thank you. So yes, when you file your QLR, you will receive a confirmation of filing and or if payment is due. So you'll get a confirmation and it'll say that you filed, and if a payment is due, it'll have that information. So thank you.
Yeah. We do have a couple questions that are not related to QLRs. The first one is, if messages are sent through the secure system, is there a way to save those communications to our computers? We're big fans of paper trails and save most email communications with our licensing contacts in case they're needed for future reference.
Okay. I will have to.
Follow up?
Yes.
Okay. We will follow up on that one. And I should mention too, from all of the questions that are asked today, we're going to be updating the frequently asked questions that we have posted on our website. I'll also be providing that link at the end. But you guys are asking some great questions, and this exactly is what we wanted to hear, was what you guys wonder about, so we can provide you those answers so that you're ready. The next question is, for companies that may have multiple entities, will they all show under one tab, or will they show very similar to how they are now at MyAccount?
So each entity can have its own MyAccount. So if there's ownership, if there's at the operating level, at the license level, it's a legal organization, then they can establish a MyAccount for the licensed entity. And then if there is an ownership company above that, they can have their own separate MyAccount that can then be linked. And again, that would be depending on structure, and all information can go through that operating entity. But if there is a need for a separation and privacy between ownership structures, then that MyAccount could be directly communicating with our staff, and then we will know that they are linked, and we could link them, or
Okay.
yeah.
And there's also a capability where someone who may work for multiple organizations can switch accounts to do different work.
Yes, if they have access to, if they're sister organizations, or they're a licensed person or an unlicensed person that should have access to both accounts, yes, they can have access to different MyAccounts.
I can actually just briefly show kind of what that looks like.
Great.
So because we've been testing, I'm linked to a lot of different organizations. And so if I click on my name and I choose switch profile, it shows me all of the organizations that I am linked to and what my role is with them. And if I wanted to switch, I don't have to sign out and sign back in. I just have to pick which organization I want to switch to. So that's how that would work. So you are also allowed multiple, different roles for different organizations.
And again, that would be controlled by the super user of that particular organization. And so if the super user is granted another user, or they're a super user in multiple organizations, then they would be identified as being whatever that role is, and they would have access to those different MyAccounts.
Okay. We got a question, will there be another training meeting once this goes live, or is this the only training? This is actually not training. This is a demonstration. And we're still in development and in testing. So that's why you're seeing some things as screenshots and some things in the system. We're still literally building the airplane. So stay tuned. We will be providing full training early next year. And again, we'll share more information about that at the end. And we'll also share this slide deck, which has the timeline on there as well. Let's see, we've got something in the chat here. If multiple users have access to the site from one company, will any confidential employee information be able to be viewed or downloaded once it's uploaded? For example, a financial statement is uploaded for an executive. Once it's submitted, can someone else view it? Hopefully, no.
So it depends on what role. So if somebody has a role to submit license applications, then they would have access to see details of license applications. So if there's somebody that should not be in that role, then they wouldn't have access again, like a QLR filer would not have access to the details of a license application.
Okay. And I'm also replying in chat that we will be providing a link to this recording as well as the slide deck to you after the meeting. Okay, I think that's all the questions. I think we can move to billing and payments.
Great. So I am also assigned that role for purposes of this demonstration. So I'm just going to select the billing and payment tab. Again, if I were only a QLR filer, I wouldn't have access to billing and payment. So kind of to demonstrate what Jennifer was just referring to and the question that was asked in chat about viewing applications, it does depend on the role. So I can see all of the IDs of these applications, but I can't click on them to access any of the details. So all I get is the reference number. Whereas when she was showing that, when she was a super user and looking at the pending applications, she could click on all those links. So if I only have access to make payments, I can see the reference because that's important, but I can't access any of the details behind it. So for payments, a lot of this functionality is still under development, but so what you're seeing today may not look exactly like it will when we go live. But what you'll see is, you'll see here, there's a lot of payments due because we've been doing a lot of testing and submitting for this demonstration. So it will show you everything that's due, and I will demonstrate about being able to select one or multiple items. You'll also have a payment history section where you can see what has been paid or what was in progress. So in progress means in this instance that likely the request was to pay by check. So the system generates an invoice, and this payment history section is where you access the invoice. And once we actually received the payment, it would move to paid. So for purposes of this demonstration, I am going to select to pay just a couple different things here to show that we can do one or multiple. So you select whatever it is that you would like to pay, and then choose the select for payment button. And wait for a moment. And it's going to show you the details of that and then the total due. A new feature that we will have in this system is the ability to provide a credit balance. So right now, if you, for any reason, have an overpayment, whether it's a miscalculation on a QLR, or if you're an organization that submits and pays for individual applications, they withdrew before the application was processed. Right now, the only option we have is to mail you a refund check back. And the new system will be able to provide you a credit balance if that's what you would prefer. And it will, right now, it's only displaying here because you have to select if you want to use it or not. When it's fully developed, the notification of a credit balance will display on the main billing and payment page so that you are aware that a credit is due before you get this far, or a credit is available before you get this far. So, for example, if I wanted to use this credit, I would just check the box, and that was very quick, so I'm not sure if you saw it, but it now shows that the subtotal is $10,795, whereas up here in the display section, the original amount due is $11,070. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that unchecked. Now, so we now have the option to pay by credit card. And there isn't a limitation on the amount that can be paid, but if you choose to pay by credit card, the processing fee is charged to you by KeyBank. So if you were to choose to pay this, there would be a 2.9% fee charged, and that, because that's charged by our credit card processor directly to you, the charge would show up as a separate line item on your statement. So one charge would be from us directly for the $11,070 that goes to the Gambling Commission. A secondary line item would be the credit card fee from KeyBank. So I'm just gonna go ahead and choose to
What
pick.
credit cards are available?
Yep,
Okay.
so I just want to show what that looks like. I didn't bring a test credit card, so I can't complete this transaction, but I do want to show what that looks like. So I say, yes, I do want to pay by credit card. And it displays this secure window here. And what this is this little pop-up window that is actually a direct link into KeyBank. We are not retaining your credit card information. So this directly links you to KeyBank, and this shows Discover, Visa, and MasterCard, but we're also accepting American Express. So you would enter your card number, all this information, and once you fill that all out and agree, I don't have that, so I can't do that. I apologize, but it would show you, when you pay, it'll tell you how much was charged and how much the credit card fee is. It does display that to you. For purposes of testing, we have some very specific credit card numbers that were provided by KeyBank for testing, and I don't have any of those with me, so I can't show you what that looks like. But it will provide that information to you. If you decide, I really don't want to pay by credit card, you can just close out of this before that completes, and you can choose a different process. So one of the questions earlier is, can we still pay online? Yes, absolutely. So this is the electronic check, the debit ACH is one of the payment options that we provide now online. So that's not changing. You'll just provide your information, and I'm just putting in test data just to show you, and it will validate your routing number. And then you have to put in your account number. You have to re-enter your account number, and you cannot copy paste. And then any old name. And then it's gonna show you the receipt date. And for purposes of what we're paying right now, which are some license fees, the payment receipt date will be today. We do now let you know when the expected debit date is, and that's 5 business days from the receipt date. So I'm gonna go ahead and submit this. And I confirm that I do want to pay it. And again, just like today, when you make a payment online, you will get an email confirmation that says what you paid, how much it was, and a receipt number. So now that has been paid. So you will see it down here. It takes a minute because once you submit your payment, it has to go into our internal system and finalize all that information, but it will return an invoice number for your records and a receipt number. So I'm not sure how long that takes in our test environment. Oh, that wasn't bad. So now you'll see that we have a receipt number here and an invoice number. And these are still under development, but I can show you what the current version of our invoice looks like. And this is for your records. So it's going to show you your organization name, an invoice number, the date, and then what you paid for, what the invoice was for, how much it was. This does not show the proof of payment here. But your receipt number is here. And if you choose to view the details, you can see that the invoice number was paid by this receipt number, and it'll even tell you how you made that payment and if you used a credit or anything like that. So if you are paying a QLR, we still provide the opportunity to schedule an ACH for a future date. So in the box where it showed that, the only date that was there was today's date, if you're paying a QLR that's, due the end of the month, you would still be able to select a future payment date. And then for any of our entities that are notably overseas, you can reach out to us, and we do have the ability to provide you access to pay by wire. And for anyone that's familiar with that right now, we have to manually send an authorization to you for a wire payment. In the new system, if you're authorized to pay by wire, it will, in the drop-down box, I'm going to pop back in there really quick. In this drop-down box, if you're authorized to pay by wire, it would be a selection here. And when you choose it and say submit, you'll actually get a new notification in the secure messaging, and it provides all of the wire authorization information that you need to wire money to us. So no more waiting for us to email you that information. I covered credits. The one thing that we are still developing that I cannot show you yet today is what we like to call ad hoc invoices. So those one-time things. So for licensees, organizations, if there's a special investigation fee for pre or post licensing, that deposit that sometimes you have to pay. Right now, we generate you a letter and then you mail the money in. We'll be able to actually generate an invoice, and you can either print that invoice and mail the payment in, or you can make that payment online, but the invoice will already be available. That's similar for if you are issued a novice, once once we've done our internal work and it's available, an invoice will also be available for payment for that, and any other one-time fees. I'm trying to think what else is common, but those are only two examples I can come up with right now. But we will be able to provide an invoice for everything, which then enables you the ability to pay online.
And we will no longer have that pay additional fees.
Oh, yes, thank you. I forgot. So right now, sometimes, depending on what you're doing, you can make those payments by using that other fines and fees button in my account. That menu option will no longer be available because we will be providing an actual invoice for everything. So you'll no longer be able to select that button and choose how much to pay us, because everything will be here for you to select and say you want to pay it. So.
Okay, we do have one question in the chat. If you're renewing multiple employee licenses, will the invoice show their names? I currently screenshot that page to save it, so we have proof of who we renewed, because the email only shows their license numbers.
Jennifer, are any of these individuals? Oh, is this one an individual right here? I'm not. This in-state cardroom employee,
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Well, let's look and see. So right now I can see that it's just an application number. Let me cancel.
Owner is a super user.
Yeah.
Let me look here.
Our intent is to make the information as much as what you need as possible, so we can take that back and see if that's something that we can provide.
We can follow up
Yeah,
later as well.
Yeah.
We do have one more question in the
Sure.
chat. How about the pay this amount later with ACH option?
So that will be available for, again, just the QLR payments. So everything else is basically a due now, and you cannot schedule it for a later date. But again, for the QLR, so right now we're still in tomorrow's the last timely day for filing and payment for the QLR. So if you had filed your QLR on October 1st, you could schedule that payment for October 31st. Which reminds me, another improvement we have is that in the current system, your QLR isn't submitted until the payment is made. In the new system, those are two separate processes. So you can see that your QLR is final and submitted the day that you submit it to us, even if you don't make the payment for 5 or 6 or 7 days. So you'll be able to print your QLR as soon as you submit it, and it'll have the submitted date on it when the print functionality is built out.
Okay, if an individual employee is renewed their license, will the payment options be the same, such as credit card or debit?
sure how the interface works, Jennifer. So if I'm an individual and I want to pay my own,
I believe you have all options.
it's all options, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it should be the debit, ACH, credit card, or printed invoice, mail, a check-in, just like we're showing right now.
Okay. I don't see any other questions, so we will go on to equipment and software submissions with Jamie.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, so I'm going to be going over how you submit equipment and software submissions to us. As Jennifer already showed you, you will navigate to the submissions page. There's only two different types of submission forms, if you will, to fill out. There's the TLS equipment and software or the non-TLS. And just to clarify for those who don't know, TLS stands for Tribal Lottery System. So that's the, for lack of a better term, the Nevada like slot looking machines at the tribal casinos currently. Non-TLS submissions will be the equipment like shufflers, progressive table systems, Keno systems, electronic raffle systems. All of those will go through the non-TLS submission process. If you look at the screen, and Jennifer kind of already touched on this, you can see the information that's available to you. You've got your submission number, the type of submission, the name, the receive date. That's the date you actually hit submit. So that's the date we received the submission, and the current status. We had some test ones drummed up for you, but you can see that they're under draft status. When something's under draft, you should be able to, as a super user, sorry, I'm trying to find a TLS or non-TLS under draft. You should be able to view details and also go in and edit the submission. And also you should be able to delete it. So if you decide you're not submitting that, you can delete that one from the menu. For anything that's under review, you can view details of what you provided information on. You can withdraw that submission. And for non-TLS submissions, you can make a payment. But that's only if you're a super user. Or a payment submitter. So I'm going to go ahead and start by going through a draft of a TLS submission, just to kind of give you guys a heads up on what that looks like. The form is very similar to what we already currently do and have you fill out. So I'm going to go to the first tab. Again, you're going to pick TLS submission, and then under submission information, the manufacturer field will auto-populate. That'll be based on who you're logged in as. There's the same information. You can provide your unique manufacturer identification number, and then there's the fields marked with the red asterisk that you would want to have, that you have to fill out. I'm looking through, let's see, you can provide an alternate contact for the submission. So if it's not going to be you that the lab or licensing needs to get a hold of, you can put an alternate contact in there. If this is new equipment or software that hasn't been deployed, it's new, like a new central determination system, something like that, you'll need to list the tribe that's sponsoring that equipment in software submission. That's required in Compact. And then once you do that, you fill all this information and you hit save and next. You'll come to this last page where you can upload supporting documentation. You cannot, it doesn't have the capability for you to upload software. Most software files that are being submitted at this point are very large. So we're asking that you try to only submit documentation through here. It's not required to submit through here. But you do have the ability to upload any product release notes, Excel files, things like that, that you feel are important or you would normally submit with your submission. We will still rely on our file transfer site or your file transfer sites to obtain the software for testing and review and approval. Then at the top, you see where it has the question about that you have to acknowledge that you understand that until we receive the ITL certification or the independent test lab certification, we will not begin our review. Once you click that, you'll be able to submit the submission.
That will then change the status of it to under review on your side, and it will come through on our side as something that goes on our testing queue. The other type of submission that I wanted to go over was the non-TLS. Let me find one that is under draft. So if you go to edit submission, again, you're going to find this looks very similar to what current non-TLS submission form looks like. You're going to acknowledge this page and go next. You'll fill out all required fields. Again, these are all exactly pretty much the same questions that you have currently on the form. Go through, save and next. At any point while you're filling this out, you can also hit exit and it'll allow you to save changes and exit. So if you're in the middle of something or you get pulled away, you don't have to fill all this out first before you can walk away. Go through. The form will tell you if you need to, upload anything or include anything on future pages. Oh, let me just say, hold on, it's going to make me fill some of this out.
Those asterisks.
I
Fire
know.
fields.
I don't know how they got it to this point without it. Okay, hold on. Just gonna say no to move this along. Maybe yes. Oh, just
You
kidding.
said yes, so you have to put the jurisdiction on.
Oh, dang it. I'll just say aye. And then save it next, allows you to move on to here. If as you're going through these, it will tell you, this is an example, that you need to upload this information on the next tab, which you can see as documentation. But it'll kind of give you hints on what you need to upload or information you need to, it'll prompt you to upload. So once you're done filling out all the questions on here, save and next. This page kind of gives you an overview of all the different documentation that you might want to upload. Again, this is not required. You can send it by mail, but it will delay our processing. We won't start the submission review until we receive all the documentation. Some of these, if you want to get, so some of this equipment requires a checklist to be filled out. We've included a link to the page on our website right here where you can navigate to, and then you go and you can download that checklist, fill it out, save it, and then you can upload it here for us. So hopefully that's useful for you. Once you've completed everything here, you've uploaded what you want to, you click submit, and it should show up as under review under your dashboard. Down below, you can see previous submissions too. So you can see when they were disapproved, approved. If you've submitted a withdrawal request, if it's not been processed, up here it'll show pending withdrawal. But once we've completed the withdrawal process on our end, it'll show up down here and say withdrawn. All of your approval letters will come through secure message. So they'll be accessible through the secure message icon. You'll get a notification in your regular email that you've received mail in here, and then you go in here and you should have the PDF of the approval letter sitting in your inbox. I think that
Forms? Did you talk about forms?
I don't think I have any forms.
All right. Do we have any questions about submissions for equipment and software? I don't see any. Is there a size limit that you can upload?
I don't know. I don't know what that size limit is. We'd have to follow up on that, but we can definitely look into it.
Great. Christina, can you go back to the slide deck, please?
Yep.
Okay, so what does all of this mean for you? If you're not online yet, if you're not using My Account today, you'll need to sign up with a SAW account at secureaccess.wa.gov, and I will be putting a slew of texts in the chat or links in the chat for you. We want you to start thinking now about who might have which roles in your organization. And again, we will be following up with you with the list of all of those roles. You'll be able to see some of those in the slide deck. We'll provide more specifics. So stay tuned in your email for that. And then we do have formal training coming up in February. So please plan for your staff to attend that. When we have specific dates, we will send those to you. I put in the chat a link for you to sign up for our newsletter. If you're not already receiving that, that will be our primary communication. We also have a project website. That link is in the chat. And then again, our current projected go live is February 23rd, 2026. So, and then next slide. We would love to hear what you thought about what you saw today, any concerns, questions, you know, if this is all making sense to you and how it's going to affect you. So please take about 5-6 minutes is the average time that it takes to complete this survey. You can take it with the QR code if you scan it with your phone, or you can just use that link. I also put that link at the top of my laundry list of links. And then there also is our website and our email address. Are there any other questions before we close out for today? Okay, well, thank you everyone for your time. Have a great rest of your day.